NRM regain a region they have struggled for years to control politically.
So we are going to see a lot of political activity in Masaka to ensure that, first of all, the strong influence of opposition is broken.
Masaka, a renowned opposition stronghold from the days of the late Ben Chwanuka, is believed to be at the center of politics in Buganda and Uganda after Kampala. Scholars say winning over Masaka is important and explain why President Museveni has put much emphasis in the region. Experts say President Museveni is going to invest a lot to conquer Masaka, just like he did in northern Uganda. His game plan for Masaka has already started by dividing the opposition.
So we are going to see more deeper involvement of Museveni as an individual, his son, the political weight within the NRM, as well as a lot of use of money. But most importantly, there's going to be a lot of casualty of politicians as well as and power breakers within Masaka.
Bukoto Central Member of Parliament Richard Sabamala acknowledges there are chances NRM can actually break the back of opposition in Masaka. He, however, says this will take a lot of efforts after nearly 40 years of empty promises to the people in the region.
Masaka was promised universities, secondary schools in at least every sub-county. This has not been done. Masaka was promised a glass factory. This has never materialized.
Well, all eyes are on Greater Masaka, if you ask me. Just last weekend, PLU, who many say is an outfit of the NRM, but they say they are an organization, civic organization that pushes for patriotism, was in Masaka. And just days after, the president, who belongs to the National Resistance Movement, was also in Ringo. So, will NRM capture Masaka once again? Or are they clutching at straws? It's a conversation we'll keep our eyes on. Now, in the corridors of current affairs, Dokolo, the by-election was one of those that was a very important one to have as they went to the polls yesterday at Dokolo District Council Hall, where the vote counting of who will become the Dokolo Member Parliament by-election would be. Now, the Independent Electoral Commission did declare Uganda People's Congress's party candidate, Sarah Aguti Nyangokori, as the winner of the Dokolo District Women Member Parliament by-election. She won 11 sub-counties and 3 town councils in the Gateway District of northern Uganda from Eastern election. Of course, that did not go without any issues. We do know that arrests were made and a few allegations of ballot pre-ticking in some areas, and one vehicle was impounded as it was suspected to be carrying those pre-ticked ballots. We'll take you there.
At Dokolo Primary School in Dokolo Town Council, the agents and the electoral presiding officers spent the better part of the morning struggling with faulty biometric machines. They saw voting exercise delayed by more than 2 hours.
The vote has started coming in very early. So to us, this is very, very encouraging. And I want to say, I think Dokolo has set the benchmark for a peaceful, disciplined, and stable election.
At some polling stations, tension escalated when supporters of the UPC party candidates demanded clear seating arrangements for presiding officers and candidate agents. This disagreement briefly disrupted the proceedings before being resolved. This compounded by alternated serial on the declaration forms and misplacement of boxes saw the voting being delayed at most polling stations. The Electoral Commission chairperson, Justice Simon Byabakama Mugenyi, described the Thursday exercise as peaceful with minimal cases and arrests reported in some areas.
I have not had any single incident of disruption or chaos or confusion, none at all, in all the areas I've gone to. And even I'm keeping my phone with me. I've not had anyone complain that, Chairman, we have a challenge here or a problem here.
Yesterday, we suffered arrests of some of our leaders and confiscation of money belonging to the party by people not in uniform, and as I understand, the RCC of Lira was deeply involved in this.
The by-election exercise for Dokolo District Woman Member of Parliament concluded with cases of arrest of different party agents and ballot pre-ticking.
Well, this is a second win in a by-election for the Ghana People's Congress, where the man did warn you that they will be leaving no stone unturned, including some of the challenges that they had had in the previous by-election, which they had sorted. And that, of course, included making sure they tight mark that voting and, of course, make sure that they do emerge winners. And it's working. So 2026, UPC is back on the ground. Away from that, researchers from the Hague Institute of Innovation of Law have asked the Ugandan government to be very intentional in helping Ugandans access justice. This comes after a survey on Ugandans who go to courts of law to seek justice. After this survey did reveal that justice needs and certification, that is a report of 2024, revealed that only 10% of Ugandans actually do to courts of law to seek justice. Principal Judge Flavian Nzeija, who represented the Chief Justice Alfonso Unyidolo, also launched this report saying that the judiciary's only hope to address these gaps is in alternative dispute resolution.
According to the Justice Needs and Satisfaction Report 2024, only 10% of Ugandans access justice through courts of law, a number that is still so low despite having increased 4% in 2020. The same report highlights 41% of Ugandans engage family members as a way of accessing justice, which indicates an increase from 40% in 2020. Principal Judge Flavian Nzeija notes that while access to justice is still a challenge, there is progress every year.
So for me, I think why that number has gone up is because now people are gaining confidence in the court system. Of course, we have challenges, especially in respect of the spread of courts as well as the limited number of judicial officers.
Nzeija adds that their hope now as the judiciary is in the alternative dispute resolution mechanism, which also address the case backlog problem.
If we embrace the alternative dispute resolution as we have started, because as I mentioned, we have a policy now, we are moving, at a breakneck speed to ensure that we embrace alternative dispute resolution, so that then this problem can be done away with.
With corruption also standing out as one of the main barriers to access to justice in Uganda, researchers from Hague Institute for Innovation of Law have called for intentional interventions to ease access to justice.
The focus should be on having justice resolution mechanisms and justice service providers, whether that's in the formal system or somewhere else, that is accessible.
Well, away from that, the Ministry of Internal Affairs is concerned that its budget for the next financial year, 2024-2025, has been cut. The ministry is now asking Parliament to maintain the 1.9 trillion shillings budget to enable them to address critical service delivery. And the State Minister for Internal Affairs, General David Muhoozi, says failure to maintain the current budget will bring about persistent requests for supplementary funding during the budget implementation.
The Ministry of Internal Affairs, with all its entities, the Uganda Police Force, Uganda Prison Service, Government Analytical Laboratory and NIRA, on Thursday appeared before the Defense Committee to submit their ministerial budget estimate for the financial year 2024-2025.
Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, the Ministry of Internal Affairs has been allocated a total of...
But according to the State Minister for Internal Affairs, General David Muhoozi, the budget for the ministry has been slashed from 1.9 trillion shillings to 1.4 trillion shillings, something that will affect their operation in the year 2024-2025.
Or request should be maintained in the next financial year 2024-2025 budget to enable the ministry address critical service delivery areas and prevent persistent requests for supplementary funding during budget implementation and to avoid creating endemic arrears.
With an allocation of 34.279 billion, our requirement to effectively implement these outputs is 43.279 billion, and leaving us with a shortfall of 9.523 billion.
The projected cash flows for 24-25, Chair.
According to the Undersecretary of Uganda Police, 97 billion shillings is required for the procurement of police uniforms, 4 billion shillings for the electricity, 700 million Uganda shillings for water, 21 billion shillings for training of police officers, among others.
We are supposed to start planning for the elections in the next financial year. However, our development budget has remained 164 Now, if that is the money we have to do all those things, that means we are not able to budget in time for elections, where we need specialized equipment.
Relatedly, the Ministry of Internal Affairs will also focus on streamlining the NGO policy by bringing about accountability and sensitizing donors on the effects of money laundering and terrorism.
Well, it is that time we're in the budgeting process, planning for the next financial year, that is 2024-2025. Of course, the conversation about budget cuts usually comes around this time as we come close to the end of the financial year and different government entities bringing in their budget frameworks and seeking Parliament's approval before we can actually have the budget passed. We'll take a short commercial break. When we return, we'll be discussing more in business. Stay tuned.
Stay informed, stay ahead. Afro Mobile brings you the latest in everything current affairs. From breaking news to in-depth analysis, get a first preview to the most pressing issues locally and internationally, all in the palm of your hand. Afro Mobile, the future is now.
My name is Catherine Asayo and I serve as a project coordinator at Stanbic Bank Uganda. We all play a pivotal role in protecting our environment against plastic pollution. Let's reuse, recycle and reduce the use of plastics to save our planet for our children and the generations to come. Uganda is our home and we drive our growth. Tassa Obutonde.
This message is brought to you by National Environment Management Authority, Kampala Capital City Authority, Vivo Energy, Airco, Pepsi, Uganda Breweries Limited, Stanbic Bank and NBS TV. With Nexcom, you can expand the impact of your message. In an age where ambition knows no bounds, Nexcom is your unrivaled strategic communication partner. We don't just amplify your brand's voice, we create communication solutions that move the cash needle. We develop your ideas into industry-defining transformations through well-designed and executed campaigns and disruptive techniques. Why accept ordinary when you can create extraordinary? Contact us immediately and let us design a future in your brand lean. Better study tips. Never share your personal information like PINs, passwords, or ID numbers with anyone. Legitimate organizations will never ask for such sensitive details over the phone or email. Stay smart and safeguard your information. Brought to you by Uganda Communications Commission, Equity Bank, Momo, United Media, MTN, Stanbic Bank, and NBS. This Ramadan, spend time with Salam TV. Join us for our daily Ramadan tips, reminders, Quran recitations, and health advice featuring special guests. Sibulukuka Iftar segment at 6:45 p.m. taking you up and about in major mosques. Be inspired by the live Tarawih prayers followed by live charity appeal, giving you the opportunity to get rewards with Salam charity partners. Salam TV offers you a platform to connect with your Muslim clientele through special TV campaigns, special Ramadan activations, CSR outreaches, and Iftar dinners. Make the most of your Ramadan with Salam TV. To be part of us, call on
Feel like a little Waikibenda? Noaju on Tare? Then open your Afro Mobile app, go to options section, select radio, find the station that best suits your current mood, click on it and enjoy life without missing a beat. Take a piece of home with you, anywhere and anytime. Afro Mobile. The future is now.
Fantastic morning it is, ladies and gentlemen. Friday, the 22nd of March, 2024. Now, still discussing matters Parliament. Now, legislators sitting on the Defence and Internal Affairs Committee of Parliament did task the Minister of Internal Affairs to explain why the police has not yet arrested the directors of the companies that recruited Ugandans that ended up in the hands of the rebel captors in Myanmar. According to legislators, they have received reports that the rebels are now demanding hostages to pay between $8,000 to $10,000 for each to be released.
The issue of the hundreds of Ugandans said to be distressed abroad continues to attract the attention of legislators and other concerned entities. The legislators sitting on the Defence and Internal Affairs Committee are concerned that the directors of the companies that recruited Ugandans that ended up in the hands of rebels in Myanmar are still scot-free.
I wonder why there are no arrests of the people who take our young people to such countries and deliver them in the hands of mafias.
How did this number of people, 400, leave the country?
Sometimes they tell them that they are being taken to Thailand. But when they are being given visas, they are taken through Laos. Then from Laos, that's when they go on land and they end up in those rebel held up area.
According to the committee members, they have received reports that the rebels are now demanding between $8,000 to $10,000 for each captive to be released, and some governments have paid up the money and their citizens released.
And I have information that other countries have even paid this money and been able to get back their people.
You get to know the victims at the end state when they are in the wrong hands. Most of them go in a clandestine way.
However, the State Minister for Internal Affairs, General David Muhoozi, says efforts are underway to rescue the victims, and so far 4 have been released and are now in Thailand's detention centers.
Unfortunately, they are not in government hands. They are in the hands of non-government people. But we are making all the steps to ensure that we return our children.
In Bangkok, there are 4 at the detention centers. From Myanmar, they were dropped at the border. Then from the border of Thailand, they were arrested as illegal immigrants, and that's why they are in detention centers.
They are now proposing for an initiative of an insurance policy to all the migrant workers, but to committee members, the issue of bank guarantees should be the main focus if stranded Ugandans are to be rescued.
Well, it's quite unfortunate this conversation still lingers into this new year, 3 months into it, if you ask me. And these Ugandans who have been stuck in Myanmar have been a conversation I think we had last year as we were winding up 2020. It is quite unfortunate that they are still in the hands of those rogue elements. We do hope something can be done and they can return home. In the business world, traders without electrical fiscal receipting and invoicing system have been urged to issue the receipts in the name of the shop where they got the merchandise to resell. This follows a heated meeting between Kampala City Traders Association, KACITA, and the Uganda Revenue Authority over the taxation puzzle that has stretched for months. Traders have been opposed to the system, saying that it is incompatible with the trading condition in downtown Kampala.
Chikubo remains the heartbeat of trade and the heart that pumps blood into the Ugandan economy through various taxes and the merchandise traded here. But traders here say that the conditions are tough. In fact, traders say that they are finding it hard to use the VAT tax compliance technology, the electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution.
For the computers, today they have the space to put the computers because you find that someone doesn't have where to sit.
After minutes of rants from the traders, the URA Commissioner General requested that the meeting should be closed door without the presence of journalists, which the traders opposed, thus causing chaos. After a few minutes, journalists were allowed back into the hall and the meeting went on as planned.
Get a solution.
The URA Commissioner General urged traders to support URA by complying with the electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing system. This angered more traders and some marched out in protest. This heated meeting has resolved that traders should now issue receipts in the names of the shops where they get the goods for resale, and all resolutions in this meeting will be written and sent to the Commissioner General for action soonest most. Since July last year, Uganda Revenue Authority and Kasita have been meeting to solve the taxation puzzle with no agreement.
Brings us to the end of NBS Sunrise this morning. I can assure you that this morning at the roundtable we'll have journalists discussing the cabinet reshuffle that happened almost close to our bulletin around 9:47. 6 minutes was announced on the official account, on the official X account of the President of the Republic of Uganda, of course, by the powers vested in him. He made a few changes, and surprisingly, ladies and gentlemen, I was looking really busy looking for Agnes Nandutu and Migoriti Chituntu, because everyone was wondering, is this a time for the political action? Is it finally happening? Those are some of the conversations. Who is in and who is out, who has stayed, and who are the new players in the game? Linian Abe, Balam Valgari was also among those that I see. Dr. Omona also among those that are entering into this new cabinet or reshuffle halfway the term of the 5th term. So it's going to be an interesting conversation, and I can assure you, if it's making headlines in the corridors of current affairs, trust the Political Command Center to be on top of it. So see you later. Let's discuss matters politics. Victoria Bagay is my name. Good morning.
Many of us would prefer to use the Kavera when going for shopping or buying whatever stuff you usually buy for home or for your children or for whatever. Now, I would like to advise you. I think it's much better to keep our environment safe by using paper bags or cloth bags.